Haiboxing or HBX are one of my favourite budget RC brands of all time, but you may have noticed that they have been a little bit quiet lately. Going back a few years, they were dropping lots of really cool new releases, but in the past year or so, we haven't really seen much from HBX. Now if we look at another brand which was really popular like WL Toys, well, we can all see which direction they're going. I really don't want the same thing to happen to Haiboxing. Now the budget leaders when it comes to budget and affordable RC cars in 2025 are of course MJX and Relalo. Companies like KF Plan and JJRC are obviously up and coming. Now all of these brands seem to be innovating, they're giving us new products, they're giving us stuff that's exciting. We're not really seeing that from WL Toys and HBX, which is a real shame because before Relalo and MJX, these guys used to be at the top. And I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, I think the only way these brands can actually start to make a massive impact again is to give us larger cars, because that seems to be what everyone's asking for. So it's been a while, but HBX are finally back with some new releases, and here we have 3 of their brand new cars. We've got a monster truck here, we've got a buggy, and of course a stadium truck. Now there are literally hundreds of options out there now when it comes to mini RC cars. I think I would have liked to have seen something a little bit larger from Haiboxing, especially considering it has been a while since we've seen any good new releases from them. I think this one here, the Storm 5, might actually be my favourite out of these 3 new releases. This just looks really cool. Now of course these little cars are 1/18 scale and they are pretty tiny. The monster truck here also looks really cool. As soon as I got all 3 of these cars out the box, I identified a massive issue straight away, and if you look down there you may know where this is going. Now yes, you may have already guessed, but out the box these little cars do come with friction shocks, and we already know friction shocks are terrible, and I think Haiboxing knew that we may pick up on this stuff as reviewers, which is why they do actually include a set of oil-filled shocks in the box. And I'm hoping this is the case for customers as well, and this hasn't just been done because I'm reviewing these cars. With the included friction shocks, they just don't feel very nice at all. They actually make the cars feel like a bit of a bouncy mess. We already know that's going to be the case anyway because friction shocks are never a good idea. Fitting's a very simple process, you just need to remove a few screws. Everything will go together nice and easy. Now I've actually fitted the upgrade shocks to all 3 of these cars and you'll see the difference it makes is crazy. They're no longer a bouncy mess. Yeah, that looks so much better. I can't help but feel the RC market is oversaturated when it comes to mini RC cars. I mean, there are literally hundreds of options now. It does make me think, did we really need to see more minis? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below. So let's take a look under the bodies. Now everything looks exactly the same. Of course these cars are all based on exactly the same platform. How cool do the shocks now look on these? Really cool, and they do feel really nice as well. Now if you've never owned a Haiboxing, trust me, the quality of the plastics on these things is really good, really flexible, and Haiboxing cars always take a massive beating. It's exactly the same story on these. Everything is nice and flexible and they just feel really nice. Now on all 3 of these cars, of course you do get metal drive shafts. Now these cars are aimed at the budget market, so of course we have only got a very mild brush system in all of these, and again it's the same system in each one. And to keep costs down, of course this thing has a 2-in-1 ESC and receiver. They do have a tiny little battery tray, but apart from that they are pretty much identical. Of course the body on the buggy is on a hinge system. That's quite cool. I do actually really like these a lot. I think they're a really cool new addition from the guys at Haiboxing. But again, like I said at the start of the video, those guys have been quiet for quite some time. Relalo, MJX, all the other companies, you know, KF Plan, JJRC, they're all doing fantastic stuff at the moment. They're bringing out some really cool cars, larger cars as well. If Haiboxing are going to make a massive comeback, I think they should have produced a 1/10 scale truck. If you agree with me, let me know in the comment section down below. So we'll get these cars out and give them a little go in a moment, but before we do, let's talk about what we get in the box. Now here we have the battery. This is identical on all 3 of them. You're going to get exactly the same battery. It's a tiny little 850 milliamp hour 2S. Of course you do get a black and white manual. Here we have the transmitter. Now this doesn't feel too bad. Of course we've got steering trim, steering dual rate. There's the on and off button. Foam grip on the wheel, not too bad, definitely not the worst thing in the world. And then of course with each one you do get some stickers which you have to apply yourself. So let's give these little Haiboxing cars a go then. I'm not going to do anything too crazy with these today. Look, they're just beginner inspired cars. There's no reason to go crazy with these. Now, I'm going to speed test one of them. There's no point in speed testing all of them because they're all going to be pretty similar. I think I'm going to go for the buggy. That's the one that looks the coolest, I think. So let's see how fast that one goes. So these little cars aren't really designed to be really fast. They're just meant to be a cool beginner entry into the hobby, or at the very least for a kid that you're trying to get into the hobby, because these things are going to be cheap. They look cool. What more do you want? That's top speed. Yeah, it's not winning any races. Handles well though, and I think having the oil-filled shocks on there is definitely making a difference. It should just come with the oil shocks out the box. You know, it shouldn't be an optional upgrade. I'm not complaining because it's nice that they're in the box, but at the same time, you know, we're talking 2025. There's no reason for any RC car to come with friction shocks now. Haiboxing have been around for ages. I remember one of the first cars that I reviewed on my channel was a Haiboxing. And funny enough, I think that was also an 18th scale as well. They do produce some very cool cars, very durable as well, but I think the way things are going in the budget and affordable RC market, I think we do need to start seeing larger cars, because otherwise, yeah, I think they're going to struggle. When we look at what MJX and Rolalo are doing at the moment, I think, you know, brands like Haiboxing, WL Toys, you know, before they get into too much trouble, I think they need to give us some larger options. Right, let's see how fast it goes. It's not going to be very quick. So that's it, read. So 16 miles per hour right out the box. Not too bad considering. As long as these little cars aren't priced too high, I think they're going to be popular. Just another really cool beginner option. But if you're looking for power, yeah, you're not going to find that here with these. But this one especially does look very cool. I do like the buggy. Yay! You may be watching this thinking, why am I even bothering with this? Well, look, I like to explore every area of the RC hobby here on my channel. The budget side, the more expensive side. And I think little cars like this are important to get people into the hobby, especially kids, because they're the ones that are going to keep the hobby alive for many years to come. This is really cool, but of course, it's not going to be as good as something slightly larger. But at the price that they're asking for, I think it's a cool little option. Right, let's give the stadium truck a go. This one actually handles a little bit nicer than the buggy. I think the bigger wheels definitely help when it comes to traction. Yeah, again, I think Haiboxing need to start producing some larger cars just so that they can be in there with, you know, the rest of them. Rolalo, MJX, JJRC now, KF Plan, you know, they're all starting to produce larger cars. I think HBX need to up their game slightly just to remain competitive. But again, this one's also really cool. Cool little cars these are. Cool little cars. Not going to be the most capable, but still very cool. Definitely one for the kids, I feel. I'm not sure if there's going to be brushless versions of these. I'm guessing there will be. And I don't know how much they're going to cost, but yeah, I think if these had a mild brushless system, they'd be even more fun. So there's one more to try. Let's give the monster truck a go, and then we'll wrap this video up and we'll have a little chat about Haiboxing at the end. Very cool. So this is the final one to try. This is the monster truck. Speed-wise, feels exactly the same as the other two. They all share exactly the same brush system, so that's to be expected. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, HBX know how to put together a good beginner-inspired RC car, which are also really durable. And we've seen that so many times before, especially with their 16889. That thing is a legend in the RC world. And it will always be one of their best releases. But it's definitely time to see something larger Haiboxing. We need to see bigger cars because so many minis exist now. But there needs to be larger budget-inspired cars out there. So there we go then, 3 brand new entries from the guys at Haiboxing. And I don't know about you, but I would have really loved to have seen something a bit larger from them. I mean, there are literally hundreds of different mini options now in the RC world. Pretty much every budget and affordable brand out there is making mini cars. But what I'd really like to see is some larger options like 1/10 scale and above. The market is so oversaturated now when it comes to mini RC cars. There are just too many options. And even though the 3 cars that I featured in today's video are really cool, there is unfortunately better out there for just slightly more money. And you know, it does kind of make them slightly pointless. Now that said, they do look really cool, especially the buggy. That's probably my favourite one. I love the yellow on the body. It's also really nice of Haiboxing to include a set of oil-filled shocks in the box. So if you're not happy with the performance of the friction shocks, of course you can upgrade to the oil-filled shocks. And I have to say, that's a really nice touch, Haiboxing. Cheers for watching, see you on the next one. Take care. If you want to see more from Haiboxing here on my channel, click one of these videos now.